we go. Let's take a look at how we can generate graphs for our layout. One of the compelling things in a layout is like an information-rich layout when it's appropriate. Can be visually compelling, and we can draw readers in and then provide them with lots of interesting information. Similar to the infographics we see on media sites. I had a student that really knocked it out of the park with this project for their capstone project. They were doing work for the Liberty Lake Water and Sewer District, and the sewer district wanted to see where they had easements that were coming up for renewal, and so the student kind of had all the parcels in Liberty Lake, and then used the symbols to show which easements would be coming up for renewal, and showing the renewal status here, and then numbers going on here, and the different types of properties that easements were running through, and then just some graphics, as well as the map that shows the location of different easements, and then what an easement is and what's going on in Liberty Lake. She did a great job, and she's like got a full-time job now doing neat stuff. So good student. So we're gonna right-click on a layer to access the chart options. And we'll look at those in just a second. I just wanted to follow this link with you so you could see. We're going to have a bunch of different chart types that will be available to us, and you can absolutely just muck around with them to get a feel for them. Esri also does a nice job summarizing those here. So kind of the use of the different charts. So you can kind of take a look at these. The ones that we're going to find most often useful for the types of data we're looking at are probably going to be bar charts and pie charts. Those work really well, and of course if you click on their site you can get a little bit more information about each of those. So we've got some good documentation for ArcGIS Pro here, and as well as some of the limitations and that sort of things. So let's actually get in and do this. All right. So let's see here. Let's look at our roads vulnerable to erosion. So let's go to create chart, and let's create a pie chart and look at the breakdown of the different surfaces on these roads. How's that sound? So we'll go over here, and our variable category is going to be surface, and then check it out. So our chart kind of pops up here, and we've got low type bituminous surface treated road, gravel or stone surfaced, unimproved, concrete. You know what? I have things in here that I don't really graded and drained, hot mix asphalt, and Portland cement concrete. There's some, there's some road types in here that I did not expect to be. I wonder how we selected those. Anyway, let's not worry about it right now. We're practicing making a chart. Some of these types I don't really want in there, but look, we just created a pretty chart. So counts by surface. So that's just the basic setup, right? You can label the slices or not. You can add a numeric field to these if you want to. It doesn't make sense for this one. You can have the values in different ways there. And then we can format our symbols and colors here. Their kind of defaults look pretty good. Percentage there. I don't know, value. I don't know that I want value in there. So I want percentage instead. Yeah, because that's just a total length, total number. I want percent. If we wanted to label those, that's what it would look like. We can make it a donut if you like the donut look. I prefer my whole pie to donuts. Then we've got some formatting here that we can mess with the titles. The chart title, actually, let's see. What did we get? General. General, I'm going to either I'll omit the chart title because that explains it enough, and I'll give it a legend title. So let's see, what would I call this? Okay, that works, and I could show that. Yeah. And there we go. So that showed up there. And I could have a description if I wanted to have some big description here and explain what those roads were. That would go under there. I don't want a description, so I'm going to turn that off. But I could have a description if I wanted it. And so that's kind of how you build this out. So we got ourselves a counts by surface. Yeah, that's what we'll call it, and that's fine. Let's create another chart though. Still based on the roads vulnerable to erosion. So let's go in here and go to our create chart. I want to create a chart like a bar chart, so you get practice with that, because those are the two that we're going to be primarily working with. And so the category or date here, I want it to be surface, and then I don't want to count, I want the sum of the numeric field, which is going to be mile length. Okay, so basically I've got each of the surface types down here, and then I've got the sum of the length of each of those here. I don't need to split them. Do I want to label my bars? Yeah, I don't know. Depends on how much you want people to do with those. And then these are all mile length axes, guides, format. I want to get to where I can change my names. Sort XY axis ascending. Sometimes it's nice to have something like Y axis descending, so your most common will be up here, and then it'll go down from there. I think that's a good move. I'm looking for some formatting stuff here. Of course, with every version, things change. So we just made them descending here under data, Y-axis descending, and series label mile length. I wonder if I can change it there. Yeah, instead of calling that mile length, maybe I could call it just length. Miles. Let's see how that affects it. Not sure if it does at all. We got our symbols here. Axes. Number format. Usually we've got some options to, here we go. So our x-axis title. Oh, this is just for the type of font. I want to actually change my names on my x and y axis. Let me pause for a second. This has changed just enough that I want to make sure I can show you how to do, to kind of format this title, format these axis titles. So give me just a second here. All right, so I was actually right where I thought it would be. But first off, to make these colors more interesting, right now we just have these categories of surface, and they're all orange because all the roads these are symbolized as orange. So let's right-click and go to the Symbology tab and symbolize this based on, rather than single symbol, based on unique values by category surface. And let me use something bold and rich. Okay, and we'll call it good enough there. So what I wanted to note, I just didn't have any symbolization going on here, and I want to get rid of all other values. Okay, pin that so it's out of the way. What I wanted you to see is that your chart will follow, the colors in your chart will follow the symbols you've used on your map. So as soon as I symbolize these with these categories with different colors, now I got different colors on my colors on my chart that match the symbolization that I used. What I wanted to do here is, well, I guess we could get to a little bit of formatting. So if I want my text to all match with the text I'm going to use in my layout, I kind of like the one I've been using. What is it? It's like 2cen MT is kind of like my most recent favorite. It kind of has a 1960s look to it. So I'm just going to change everything to 2cent.mt. And then general here is where you can use a chart title. I generally, because charts are figures, I usually title them on the bottom, or so I can just put it in when I'm putting it in my layout. The x-axis title, I'm going to call it surface type, and I want to show that because axis titles are important. And then I'm going to call this length, and then miles. So my y-axis title, and that's what I wanted. I don't have a legend on this because I will just use, the colors match with the legend on my map, and they're also titled down here, so I'm not going to worry about that. Okay, so let's go ahead and save our project. Then the last thing I wanted to show you, so we just made two different charts. And you're going to take a screenshot of one of those charts, or shoot, you can create your own chart, another different chart, and you're going to take a screenshot of that for your second task in our workbook. What I'd like you to show you really quickly is I'm going to insert a layout so you can see what it looks like to insert a chart into that layout. I'm going to go ahead and, whoa, how did I do that? Apparently I inserted we're not going to do that. I'm going to close these and I'm going to insert a chart or insert a layout. So apparently I didn't know you could insert them into tables. So new layout, there we go. Got a layout here now in my mapping space. And to add a chart, you have to have that map frame that contains that chart in here. So I'm going to come in here, I'm going to insert my map frame, my utilities, and I would normally make guides, right, and make things all tidy. I'm just going to pop that in there. And this is just to show you how to get a chart in there. So as long as you have the map in there, you can add a chart. And so I've got a couple different charts. I have my culverts. I've got the distribution of year, distribution of culvert size. So that's just what I got from running my statistics, and I don't want to do that. These distribution ones, I just created those when I ran my statistics. Those are those frequency histograms. They're kind of ugly. They help us visualize our data and understand what we're working with, but they're not meant for visual display. But I could add my counts by surface here. Boop. Come on. Boop. Pie chart, where are you? I think it's thinking. Yeah, there we go. Obviously, I need some help with the formatting on this one, but I got that one. There we go. I just made it a little bit bigger. And then the next thing I wanted to add is, could also add my sum of mile length by surface. I could have given that a better name, couldn't I have? And then it would show up here with a better name. So we got something going on here, right? And we definitely probably have to work with size on these because my labels here are cut off. So what I'd probably do is go in and change those labels so that they fit better. But that's how you insert a chart into your layout. So it gives you some of that informative power to pull from a map. So let's see here. So let's check here in our PDF. And you got some terms to make sure you're comfortable with here. Remember that numeric can also be called quantitative. Categorical can also be called text. We have some kind of alternative words that we'll use interchangeably here. And then you've got the two screenshots you would have taken as part of our demonstration. And then if you want to check yourself and see, hey, am I actually solid on this? I'd like you to create a table that shows the sum of the length of road segments by the road type. And then create a bar chart that shows the same. So the y-axis would be the sum of the length of the roads, and the x-axis would be the road type. Got a couple more resources for you here. This one is the Esri page that just talks through charts and their uses and limitations and how-tos. And then this is a video that depicts creating some charts. So if you want to see things in a little different way, you can go ahead and check those out. All right. Good job, guys. We're all the way through section 8. Just a little bit more to go.